I'm a firm believer that good quality ESCs make a bigger difference in your copter's overall handling and performance than almost any other single factor, maybe than any other single factor. I would rather put a cheap pair of motors on a copter with a great pair of ESCs than a pair of high-end motors, T-motor or Schizo motors from Luminaire with a set of, SN20 ESCs or, Afro ESCs. Uh, the ESCs have gotten so good in the last year or so, and it's hard to believe it's only been a year. But if you go back maybe a year, maybe 18 months, and you look at what people were using, it was all Atmel processors running Simon K. My time frame may not be exactly right, but you can think back to the times when, Simon K was a revelation because we were all using airplane ESCs, and Simon K finally made something that was designed for multi-rotors. But we've come so far, and not everybody out there may keep up with the developments. I'm a tech nerd, and I love the keeping up with the developments, but the faster processors make a big difference. So going from the Atmel processor to the Scilabs, the F330 and the F390 processors from Scilabs makes a big difference. And we're just now starting to see some 32-bit ARM processors coming out in ESCs. They're only just now hitting the market, so it could be even more exciting stuff coming there. And then things like dedicated hardware gate drivers for the FETs as opposed to discrete components, which are able to get much better braking performance. And then hardware PWM drivers, which currently I think KISS ESCs are the only one that has one. I think there may be one non-KISS ESC that came out recently, but it's not ringing a bell which one it is. So they make for very, very smooth throttle response, very strong braking, just so good. And a lot of people don't know, I think, that these things are out there and don't know what to look for. Or they don't realize what a huge... I used to think, whatever, the ESC takes the throttle signal and it drives the motor. What's the big deal? How hard is that? No. When I first started flying, I was flying 6-inch props and 3S batteries, and I had all kinds of problems with my tune. I had bounce back after flips. My tune was, no matter how much I tried to tweak the tune, and you guys know I love to tune, I could not get this copter flying the way I saw other people's copters fly. And I thought that it must be because they were on 4S and they were using 5-inch props, and just a 6-inch 3S copter could not fly well. And I was completely wrong. I went from some F12A ESCs to some little Bs, and all of my tuning issues just went away. Suddenly the copter flew so much better. And then, I went to 5-inch and 4S and it flew even better. And then Boris came out with Betaflight and it flew the best ever, right? But the ESCs made such a huge difference. And I realized that the ESCs are almost like a part of a car's suspension, Like you think of the motors and props and they're kind of like the tires and the engine, right? But the ESCs are in there, and they're doing a lot, and they make a big difference in your copter's handling. So if you're building a copter and you're on a budget and you could get a $5 or an $8 ESC, maybe a cheap one like an Atmel or something, and you could spend $3 or $4 more and you could get a really good one, do it.
Do it!
Seriously, do it.
Just do it!
You won't regret it. It could make a difference of $20 over the price of your... So buy one fewer battery, but you'll have a copter that'll fly really well, as opposed to a copter that you're constantly fighting with. And you may not be fighting with it when you first get started. If you're a noob and you're just learning to fly, you're not going to fight it. You're not doing rolls and flips. Okay, but, assuming you're going to still be using the equipment in 3 months or 4 months, you'll notice eventually. So you may as well get something good, I think, and set yourself up for success. So what's a good ESC? What should you buy? Well, thankfully, Quad McFly has done all the work for us. Thank you, Quad McFly. He's got, of course, he's got an RC Groups thread, which I subscribe to and read, and you can ask questions and talk about stuff there. But he's also got this website, Mini Quad Test Bench. And if you go to the results, and then you go to the ESC results, you can find, and I'll do it right now, ESC results, you can find all his shootouts. And so if we just take a look at the most recent shootout, which is 2205 2700 kV with a 4x4 prop. So this is a very high RPM, very stressful test. And we look at what ESCs are at the top. And what you're going to find is that you don't have to make too many compromises to get a great ESC, right? Like look at the top ESC. It's the X-Rotor 20 amp. Guess what? X-Rotor 20 amp, $9. Now, based on that, this is the top ESC in this test, and it costs $9. Based on that, why would you ever buy Hobby King Afro? I mean, I haven't even prepped this. I'm just doing this right now in real time. Let's see how much this is. Afro ESC 20 amp, $13 freaking dollars for an Atmel ESC running Simon K. No, don't do that. No, it's huge. The difference is huge. Okay, so there are many ESCs in this list that are in the $15 or $16 price range. And compared to like an $8 or a $9 ESC, somebody on a budget might find it hard to justify that. But the X-Rotor 20 is one. And then also if we look, the DYS XM20 also did very, very well up at the very top of the test results. And it costs $13. So a little more expensive. So you don't have to make too many compromises. And the only reason I think that people might cheap out on ESCs is, well, number one, if you just absolutely can't spend another $20 on your copter, fine. So you can fly anything rather than sitting on the couch and not flying, because flying is awesome, right? So whatever gets you in the air, I'm not judging. But if you could swing another $20 or maybe 25 or $30 on a copter, and given what you're going to spend on a copter, it seems like you could probably find 20 or $30 there. Buy one fewer battery, or something, to get a good set of ESCs is going to make a huge difference. And don't fool yourself that it's just about thrust. Quad McFly shows thrust and efficiency, and those are important numbers, and they tell you things about the ESC's performance. And he also tells you which ESCs blew up on the test and lit fire and stopped working. This is all good stuff, but the ESC's performance is about so much more than raw thrust, because you might say, well, okay, I'll give up a few grams of thrust if it means I can save $20, right? No, it's about the braking and the throttle response, and basically the better the ESC performs, the easier it's going to be for the flight controller to make the copter do what it needs to do. So you do a flip or a roll, and you need it to stop at the end of that flip or roll, not oscillate or bounce back. And that the ESC makes that possible. You're descending through some prop wash and you need it to be steady, or you're turning sharply and you need it to stay aligned with the turn. The ESCs it's like going between a car with really soft, slushy suspension, and it's just all over the place as you're cornering, and a car with a really nice, tightly tuned suspension, and it just tracks right through the turns. The ESCs make a huge difference in your copter's overall flight performance, not just raw thrust. Okay, so life's too short for bad ESCs. That's what I say. If you can possibly find another 20 or $30 in your build, get a really good ESC. Or shoot, geez, $9. I mean, how much cheaper than that are you really going to get? Right? Really, seriously, like the cheapest ESC you can find on the market is probably like $5. So to find $20 and get 4 really good ones. That's what I say. Anyway, there you go. Hope that's helpful. Happy flying.